Hello, guys. This is Bartholomew Orr. Join me on this journey as we chronicle the stories and lifestyle of some of the world's most innovative people who will share how their faith, wisdom, and direction help them to change lives and make a difference in these unprecedented times. It is my prayer that these out-of-the-box conversations with extraordinary people will help all of us think differently about faith and our own faith and actually doing the unthinkable. And so today I'm excited to have with our conversation today the president and founder of KQ Communication, none other than Renee Malone herself. How are you doing, Renee?
I'm doing good. I feel so honored to be here, Pastor. When you were doing the introduction, I was like, who's he going to have on?
Well, no. I am the one honored because, oh my goodness, it's been a while that you have been here at Brown.
Yes.
And I've had the wonderful privilege of watching your children grow up and go off to college.
Yes.
Oh this is KJ's what?
He's now a sophomore, right? He just wrapped up his sophomore year, going into junior year of college. And then Dominique's 24 now, so she has a job and headed to law school. So, yeah, we've been blessed. And you have watched everyone grow. You've watched the business grow. You've seen it all happen.
Well, and you know what?
Yeah.
No, what people probably don't know is that, I have these listeners on the weekend that when I need to know, okay, was the point made and KJ was my listener for all of those years who gave me the young person's point of view on my sermons.
Yes, I remember the very first time when he felt, being in the younger church, in the children's church, he said, I want to hear Pastor Orr. So we said, well, you can come hear Pastor Orr on Sundays if you can tell us after the sermon what he said.
Oh, so you all had set him up. So
we did.
So y'all were making him listen.
But he had to be clear in understanding it. So we felt, he just felt like he wanted the deeper part of the word. So we said, okay, you can come.
Well,
you can describe it.
He helped me out tremendously. Yeah. So when 11 o'clockers heard a different version of the message, it was because of KJ saying, okay, Pastor, you might want to tweak this. You might want to, say this like this.
Oh, man, that's so funny. And it's wonderful that you allow children to have a voice. And I just appreciate that.
Well, to God be the glory. Hey, and speaking about a voice, I mean, we KQ. First of all, what does KQ stands for? And because you all have given a voice to so many businesses.
Thank you. To God be the glory for that as well. Truly, KQ stands for Kingdom Quality, Pastor Orr. And when we developed the company, the idea was we want to offer the best of ourselves, with God at the helm, right? And wanted people to know that and remember that. And so that's why we called it Kingdom Quality.
Okay. What even, talking about faith, what even allowed you to birth this company?
I always tell people the business birthed us. We really didn't set out to start a business. I was working in the school system, actually, as a public information officer. And
really?
Yeah.
Was this before or after your...
Before starting the business, I worked as a news reporter, then went to the school system to work in the communications department. And while there, I was helping a couple of churches voluntarily, a couple pastors I knew would say, hey, Renee, can you do this? Can you do this? Over time, I'm like, wait a minute, is this a business? So a couple of like-minded friends, we were all kind of doing the same thing. Nikita Flynn was working at her church, Terrell Gatewood at his, and we just thought maybe we should do this. We truly believe God birthed it and said, this is what we want you to do. We all had the same vision for it, that we wanted it to have God at the center. We all believed that the work should be top quality, and we all felt like we wanted to support churches. So all of those things aligned, and here we are.
So talk about faith. I mean, so this was just birthed out of faith. Tell me about your own personal faith, your journey.
It's interesting. I was raised AME.
All right.
Raised AME. And so my parents were very strict about being at church, but it was routine and you have to grow your own relationship. And actually, a neighbor had like a neighborhood Bible study, I
Mm-hmm.
guess it's called, in her home. She and her husband were co-pastors. My mom didn't even know we were over there.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
didn't even know. All the friends were jumping double dutch, and they're like, "Let's go over to Miss LaCrone's for neighborhood Bible study." That's actually where I was saved, in her kitchen, on her kitchen
Wow.
floor. We were all talking to her, and she was explaining to us about how Christ, saved our lives. And
Yeah.
it touched me in a way. I was only 9 years old. And I went home and said, Mom, I'm with Jesus now. She was like, okay, baby. But actually was saved at a neighbor's, in their kitchen. Yeah.
That is remarkable.
Yeah.
I was saved at 9 as well. So we got a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
things
There we
in
go. There we
common.
go.
But you were born in the North.
I was Decatur, Illinois, blue collar town. Almost everybody's family works in a factory. When we were growing up, I didn't realize that we weren't rich. Like, we didn't have a lot, but I didn't know because
Hey,
everybody is in the same economic
yes.
bracket, right? And all of our family members lived in a 5-block radius. So I
Wow.
could like ride my bike here, go to an auntie's house, uncle's house. Folks come in and out. Grandmother lives around the corner. So we had a village of support.
So AME,
AME.
Methodist. Now I'm just curious because AME's down here. They only went to church on second and fourth Sunday. The Baptist was first and third.
We went every Sunday.
Okay,
Every
okay.
Sunday.
All right.
And AME, Baptist is free. Y'all are free. I thought, wow, you can move around. Like, we couldn't move around.
Yeah,
AME.
Like,
You
yeah.
have to sit still, be quiet, and all of the creed and
That's
all of that.
right.
We knew that backwards and forwards. And I was a president of Youth Lay when I was a
Oh,
young girl.
wow.
And
Well, every second and fourth
yeah.
Sunday, we went to the AME church
Oh, wow.
because my mom and them was like, okay, y'all gonna be in church every Sunday.
Okay.
And so we grew up pretty much sometimes not knowing whether or not we were Baptist or Methodist. Yeah.
It is totally different, though. Oh, my goodness.
When I tell folks the only part about the AME, it was like you had to stand so much, and it was like up and down, up and down.
Oh, and
like you said,
it is. It's
going-
routine.
Yes,
It's very
yes,
routine.
yes.
Yes.
But it's it's wonderful that we had such a rich foundation
Yeah.
with faith
Yes.
and with our family, and
Yes.
especially talking about the village that helped to mold you
Yes.
and to shape you into who you are.
Yes.
So what? Okay, so village there. Tell me a little bit more about your family.
Yeah. So, my dad and my mom, they were two people that really wanted to ensure that we had values growing up. It was very important to them. At the time that I was growing up, neither had graduated from college.
Wow.
But they made sure that there was no question
Yeah.
that we were going to
You're
go to
going to
college
college.
and
You're going.
graduate. I mean, we could play outside and have a good time, but before we did that, we had to get our homework done. I remember coming home and saying, Mom, I got straight A's. My mom's answer was always the same. You should. Like, it was, we weren't celebrating. We're not getting parties thrown in our
expectation.
honor. Her expectations, their expectations
Wow.
were very high for us. And
Are you youngest, oldest?
I'm the youngest of two. Youngest of two,
Okay.
only 16 months apart. We grew up very close, like twins. My brother is just a wonderful person. He actually teaches a Bible study now. So
Really?
outstanding.
Well, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, of course, I'm the baby as well in my family. So, faith, growing up, but then you go off to school.
Yes.
Life happens, family happens. Matter of fact, expands. Marriage. Tell me a little bit about marriage and children, and just how did all of your faith beginning help to really build your family?
So it's really a funny story that when I was in college, I went to Canaan Missionary Baptist when I was in college. I won't say that I went every Sunday, but I will say I went quite a bit. But ironically, it's the same church Kevin grew up in.
Huh.
Never knew him
wow.
or anything. And so fast forward to working, I was covering a story as a news reporter at the time, and I met him once there, didn't remember him. And then we went to this, what do you call it, Black History Bowl, and I was the
Okay.
MC. Kevin was had students there, and so during the Black History Bowl, he's heckling me. And to know him is to know you're not
Yeah.
surprised
Hey,
at all.
that's right.
That's
That's
how
right.
I met
Yeah.
him. Somehow I still fell in love and ended up marrying him. And then he asked me to go to church with him. I was so surprised that the church that I went to all those years
Wow.
was the church he grew up in. I never saw him, never
Oh my
anything.
goodness.
Yeah.
So what part of Illinois was this?
Champaign, Illinois. Yeah, I
Okay.
went to the University of Illinois. Yeah.
Well, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So faith has played such a wonderful role in
Mm-hmm.
your life, starting the business.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of wisdom,
Mm.
then, and I know having that family, especially that village,
Mm-hmm.
what does wisdom mean to you? And just speak a little bit
Mm.
about wisdom.
I think about experiences, learned experiences. I think that's the main way wisdom comes. Because your grandmother may tell you, your great grandmother may tell you, but until you get your head knocked upside your, and you find out on your own,
Wow.
just all of that helps to shape just knowledge. So I just see knowledge and wisdom as learned experience.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. So share some wisdom.
I'll say about motherhood, just love unconditionally, just love even when you feel they don't deserve it. Because we know God does it for us, right?
Hey.
And I think the same about marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage is difficult at times,
Yeah.
and you just have to keep pressing and remember that your commitment is not just to the person, but to God.
I like that.
I think when Kevin and I have gone through seasons, we've always reminded each other that this is bigger than us, this is what God intends for our life.
I like that.
And just, I just think loving unconditionally.
Unconditional love, great wisdom. What about for business? Because KQ now has been in business how long?
15 years,
15
Pastor,
years.
or
Oh my
15
goodness.
years.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Give me, wisdom for business owners, especially for entrepreneurs.
Sure. Faith over fear. Because there are going to be many times in business that you are afraid. When payroll is due on Friday and you're looking at your bank account thinking, how is this going to happen?
Hey.
It's faith over fear always. Because you kind of have to be a little fearless in order to
I like that.
have your own business. Yeah.
Well, and look, if you all ever need a faith over fear T-shirt, we got it.
Yes.
That was one of our. I think the youth used that.
Yeah.
One youth day.
I remember it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So the business started out 15 years ago. Have you all expanded at all over the years?
We have. We started with an office in Memphis. And to be honest, our goal was just to earn enough money so the three of us could be independent and flexible for our families. Starting a business was a little bit about family and just flexibility. And who would have thought that it would have grown to the point where we needed a second office in Atlanta? Yeah. And actually considering, honestly, a third.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That is great.
Unbelievable.
Now, are you still just doing only churches or,
We definitely have expanded beyond. We were strictly working with churches. Now we consider ourselves a firm that does good work for good people who are making a positive impact on our community. And so for us, that includes school systems. It includes government agencies, even small businesses who have a mission beyond just earning money, right? So, yeah.
So doing good work for good people.
Who are making a positive impact on our community.
I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
Well, bless your heart, girl. Direction. These are difficult times, to say the least. Where do you see business going and the times going?
It just depends on the industry. I can speak for public relations. This is actually a growth period for public relations, primarily because through the pandemic, people realize we have to reach our stakeholders a different way. We cannot continue to do the same thing we used to do. I mean, when businesses are shuttered and when patrons aren't coming through the front door, where are they? You got to find them. So that really created an opportunity for our industry to really show what we do and how we can impact the community in a really strong way. I'd say to business in general, everyone has to be ready to, I know we don't want to say the word, but pivot. I know, cringe, but the reality is if you think you can do work the same way in 2022 that you did it in 2019, your business is not going to last very long.
And churches have had to learn that lesson.
Churches as well. you have to meet people where they are. That's the same tenet that we've always followed, but did we really? We said it, but now we're forced to really listen and follow.
Well, and I think with churches, you know, it's like, well, why do we need a PR? Why do we, it's just the word of mouth, just the people. What would you say to a church that's thinking that?
Sure. I'd say we all need to communicate, right? We all need to communicate because saying words is one thing, but saying words in a way that people actually hear you is something totally different. So if you want to effectively communicate, you need public relations professionals. You wouldn't cut your own hair if you wanted it done really well, right?
Hey,
I'm
look,
sure you
well,
deal with
hey,
that at
look,
some point in life. Pastor.
In the pandemic, I had to learn to cut my hair by
Right.
myself. But I get what you're
Right,
saying,
right.
because even communicators need to make sure that we're being effective.
That's
And I
right.
appreciate the fact that Brown has had, I don't know how long
Yeah.
we've been. Is it been the whole 15 years?
It hasn't been the whole 15, but it's been a good chunk of them.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness!
yeah.
And we're still calling on Renee. I think last night I was hitting you up late. I need a statement.
Right. Something's coming up. And that's okay. Something we always talk to the team about is just supporting going above and beyond.
Right.
And truly just biblical principles, do the work well as if you're working for God, not man. I
Right.
mean, that's what we talk about in the shop. And then I look at my job as to support the team. If I help them, they can help the clients.
Right.
The clients can do good work, and we all win, right? I just think that's what's important. Yeah.
Well, and many people don't know, but even with the flying preacher, look, you all were
That
given
day.
what a day, what
Yeah.
a day. But you were giving us really expert advice, walking through
Yeah.
all of that. Matter of fact, even setting up what I would say the right interviews
Yeah.
to do, because every interview is just not the right interview.
Yes.
And I think before that night ended, you had me talking with Roland Martin. I still remember.
Yes. Oh, I remember that interview so well. But I remember that. But truthfully, Pastor, we learned from you as well through that experience because, I think the lesson that we can all take from that is just because something might seem on the face like it's a negative, right? The reality is there's good that can come from anything that God allows, right? And
Yes.
through that, we learned, these people are talking about Jesus, right? All over
Oh,
the
my
country. I mean,
goodness.
from as far
Look.
away from as London, people were calling, asking, well, can we talk to the flying preacher? So, but I will never forget that day.
Well, and it's amazing from the Steve Harvey
Yeah.
interview and all of that. And when you all ran the numbers afterwards, I think you all had said all of these different countries. I think it was 14 or something different countries within that week or month, and
Yeah.
a couple 100 million views. It was like,
Yeah.
whoa! It was mind blowing.
It was truly. But we've definitely run into a lot of incidents that require outreach to local, regional, national, even international publications. At one point we were representing Sam White, little 6-year-old Sam White who did the ABC video. He ended up on the Ellen Show, has his
Yeah.
own book now. He
I
was another one where
I was
calls were
talking
from
about his
everywhere.
daddy
Oh.
this morning. I don't know how much you know about Bobby, but I was talking about Bobby. I was at
Yes.
Westwood, and I was like,
Know him very well.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness! But yeah, wow.
So
you all did that.
Yes, we were working with him. Well, I want to say Sam White did that. We were just walking alongside
Yeah.
and supporting them. But what a phenomenal family and just a unique opportunity, and just knowing he's from Memphis. And there's some other great people that are doing outstanding things from the city that we've been blessed to be
Right.
part of. And we're just grateful that we can walk alongside.
All right, now
and
I have to
support
throw
the
this
work.
in because you were a news anchor person.
Yeah.
I think that's how I got to know you, Renee.
Yeah,
Seeing you on the
yeah.
TV anchoring.
Yeah, that early, you feel like that was in a whole different lifetime, right? But that was a period in life. I mean, it was enjoyable. I think at the time I was doing news, I was single, I didn't have children at the time. And so that career made sense for me. But I think as I married and had children, and then I think I had some faith conflicts with being on the news. I'll be honest with you in saying that. I remember one gentleman in particular, his child had been drugged by a babysitter,
Mm.
and the child passed away.
Mm.
I'm in his front yard waiting to talk to him as he comes out. And he said to me, "How do you sleep at night?"
Mm.
And it hit me in a way that is indescribable, because I realized in that moment, what am I really doing?
Mm.
What is my job? And what am I trying
Wow.
to communicate to the world?
Mm.
Why is a reaction from him in such a dark moment so
Mm.
important?
Wow.
And those questions came home with me. I sat with that for a long time. But it's things like that you deal with, and not to criticize the field, because
Mm-hmm.
there are some wonderful people that do journalism, and without them, we wouldn't know what's happening in our
Right.
world. But is it for everybody? For me, it wasn't.
And how do you do that and do it in a respectful, sensitive manner?
Yeah, I think for me, I tried to be as sensitive and respectful as possible, and I think that's why a lot of those stories I was sent out, because they're like, "Well, Renee will be nice," and that kind of thing. But what it did is the toll it takes on you as a person
Right.
when you're coming home with all of those
Is I
thoughts
never
and
looked at it like
interviews.
that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
somebody's talking to them and
Mm.
they're dealing with it. I covered a court case once in Peoria, Illinois, of a young man who actually killed his grandparents.
Mm.
And hearing the details of what he did and seeing his face, and then, just talking to people that knew him throughout, that's a lot to keep inside. It's a lot.
Process. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not for everybody. It wasn't for me. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Now that sheds a whole different light
Mhm.
on that phase. I appreciate you sharing that
Oh,
this morning.
my pleasure.
Today.
Yeah.
Well, look, so,
Mhm.
all right, we've talked faith, we've talked wisdom,
Mhm.
direction. What
Mhm.
about innovation?
Yes.
Because you talk about pivoting and
Mhm.
changing, and
Mhm.
my goodness, things are changing so fast now.
Every day. And so you have to decide. For us, it's not just about wanting to be innovative, it's wanting to make an impact.
Mm.
I know when the pandemic hit, the team was just like, my goodness, there's so much going on. And then George Floyd's murder, that was a really pivotal time for our organization. And we were like, what can we do differently? We birthed a platform during that period called Sources of Color.
Mm.
Sources of Color is meant to diversify our media and storytelling. So when you look
Okay.
on the news and you see experts that are telling the great things, like I'm an expert in faith and you're talking about this, or someone is an expert, I don't know, in astronomy, and they're talking, we usually see white faces.
Mm.
It's proven that almost 80% of the experts that are used are white.
Oh,
So we're
wow.
thinking, how can we diversify that so people start seeing Black and brown faces as more than just, stereotypical
Right,
views, that we
right.
can see experts that have been working in different fields. And
And that is
so,
innovative. Sources of
yeah,
color.
Sources of Color. So it's a platform to connect Black and brown experts with journalists who are looking to diversify their storytelling. So that was our way of trying to make a difference in our
Yeah.
community. And it's innovative.
Yeah.
You're
But
innovating
and
by
it's
just thinking about
cutting
how you
edge,
can make a
right?
change. Right.
I
Right.
like that. I like
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
Well, for churches who want to be innovative
Mm.
in this new digital social media
Mhm.
world, what would you say?
I'd say be open to the digital social media world. I definitely applaud Brown Baptists for just the steps taken to bring in new thoughts, new opinions on how you can be more forthright and forthcoming and transparent through digital means, right? Everyone doesn't do it. Everyone doesn't do it, but you have to do it now,
Yeah.
because the majority of us have a device in our hand, right?
Hey,
The
and the majority is
majority.
still staying home watching the device.
Man, yeah, we'll talk about that too. But yeah, I mean, everybody has a device in their hand. So if we really want to communicate God's word, again, meet people where they are. They're on devices.
All right, so I got to ask you the
Yeah.
question:
Hmm.
how do I get them back into church?
Ask them.
Okay,
Ask
Renee
them.
told me to ask y'all. Can y'all please come back to
But I
church?
mean, no, ask them why they aren't there,
Oh,
because we make assumptions on what people want. and how they're receiving. But really, we just need to talk to folks, and just ask, what's preventing you from coming back? Why
Okay.
aren't young people there? They'll tell you. I know mine will. They tell me whatever I ask, I
Yeah.
get an ear for. Sometimes I'm not prepared. Sometimes
Yeah.
my daughter will say, "Are you sure you want to know?"
Oh, my
Before I'm
goodness.
like, never mind. Never mind. But even as an adult, I will say the pandemic, you get used to getting up, cutting on the laptop and watching. It was, we had to finally sit down. Kevin and I said, "Look, wait a minute. Enough is enough. We got to get back to the church."
Yeah.
But, just talking to people and seeing what their pain
Okay.
points are,
All right. And adjusting accordingly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, look, I want to just thank you for just joining me today. Let me know what you think and connect with me on all of my website and all of the social media. Be sure to subscribe to our e-newsletter so that you won't miss out on more ways to live your life outside of the box. Stay tuned for more conversations that will inspire you to do the unthinkable. Renee, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure and honor to be here.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.